Hey friends, this is the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead. I've had a lot of questions about my gluten-free cooking lately, and so I decided to do a video response because there's a lot of questions. Am I gluten intolerant? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not completely sure. I have been gaining weight rapidly, and as most of you know, I had a gastric bypass surgery in 2005, and in the last 3 years, my weight has started to really grow. You could actually see my weight gain throughout my last 3 years of videos. And so I had my thyroid checked recently, and it came back fine, thank God. But I'm showing signs of some degenerative problems with my back and my blood sugars. My blood sugars aren't bad, but they were slightly elevated, so I'm going to have to get them checked again. And my iron is really low. So I wanted to look a little closer at my diet as to why I have been in so much pain. Now, yes, I have fibromyalgia and I have arthritis. And yes, I'm overweight. And yes, I'm going to be 50 years old on Friday. But I look at my Aunt Audrey, who's 80 plus years old, and that woman is a going concern, and I want that in my life. And I'm tired of being in pain. So what happened is it started in October when us Canadians had our Thanksgiving, and I was doing a lot of extra baking and pastry making and bread making for my homemade stuffing for my turkey and all that stuff. And I've been baking a lot of homemade bread. But that's standard for me. But over Christmas, or getting ready for Christmas, I was doing so much Christmas baking. And I'm sorry, folks, if I bake a dozen cookies, I'm going to eat 2 with a cup of tea before I put them in the freezer. So, and I started having Howie bring home some store-bought bread while I was really busy with Christmas preparations. And I started noticing that my pain was getting exponentially bad. The more store-bought bread and the more homemade pastries and cookies and fruitcakes and stuff that were in my diet, and not on a large scale, just a little bit here and there, I noticed my pain was increasing really bad. By the time my company showed up on Christmas, the week before Christmas, I was walking around the house with a walker. I couldn't drive my truck because I haven't driven my truck since the 20th of December because my knee would not let me use the clutch. There have been moments when I tried to get up out of a chair, and I mean, for the last, for a long time, I've been having assistance getting out of an armchair because they're deep and your center of gravity is really low. But by the time Christmas rolled around, I was using the walker to get out of the chair, to walk around the house, to get in and out of the shower, and that's unacceptable. So I looked up, I'm gonna share links for what I found below, but I found one that said 10 signs that you are gluten intolerant, and some of them, it was pretty scary because I covered a lot of them. But number 9 was inflammation, swelling, or pain in your joints such as fingers, knees, or hips. Now, if you already have fibromyalgia and arthritis, and then you add gluten intolerance on top of it, what do you get? Crippling pain! So I thought I'm going to do an experiment, and I'm going to go gluten-free and see how that does. So I started my gluten-free diet on Friday, and today is Tuesday, and by Saturday afternoon, no, not Saturday afternoon, by Sunday morning, I was able to get out of the chair, get out of my armchair without assistance, either from Howie or my walker, and I haven't used my walker around the house since. So I'm walking better. Yes, I'm in pain. I have arthritis. I have fibromyalgia. But it's not crippling pain. And when I say crippling pain, it means Getting up would take me 10 minutes because I couldn't put any weight on my left foot because it would just shoot right down up my knee and into my hip. And so that's, that's a significant difference in just a few days. So you may see me experimenting with all my old baking recipes, but turning them gluten-free. I don't know. I'm not going to become a gluten-free nut, and that's all I'm going to do. But as I do learn, I will share. I had some people ask me, what is, and yes, so it's for health issues, right? Somebody asked me, what is guar gum and xantha gum, and where can they get it? Bob's Red Mill makes excellent guar gum and xantha gum. And what guar gum and xantha gum is, it's a substance, I'm going to read this to you now. It is a substance present in cereal grains, especially wheat. Especially wheat, that is responsible for the elastic texture of the dough. A mixture of two proteins, it causes illness in people with celiac disease. That is gluten. What guar gum and xantha gum does is it helps you have that elasticity. Not so much as gluten does. But if you try and do gluten-free flour that has no guar gum or xantha gum in it, and nothing's going to stick together. You're not going to get a dough. You're just going to get a separated, crumbly mess. So that's what's going on with me. Okay. I'm experimenting with flours. What upsets me the most is I probably have 35 or 40 half-gallon jars of oven-sealed flour. So we'll see. Howie's not going gluten-free. Well, he kind of is, because if I make it for both of us, he'll eat it. And obviously, he has no problems with it. But he is still on bread for like his lunches and his breakfasts and stuff. But I'm not going to attempt bread. It's just not, it's not something I'm ready to do yet. But I am going to do some trial and errors with other things. And I will keep you posted as I go. Of course, if I do a new gluten-free recipe, you're going to be the first to see it. Well, aside from Vofi. Anyway, so that's what all the gluten-free stuff is about. I also believe that one of the reasons there is just so many issues around diet today is because our food chain has been severely perverted. I mean, I'm not just talking GMOs, I'm talking all the pesticides and everything else. Even if your stuff isn't genetically modified, and if it isn't organic, I mean, it's there. It's all there in the soil and in the water and all that stuff. And if they're genetically modifying wheat, and they're genetically if they're genetically modifying wheat and rice, and by the way, I buy GMO-free rice, then our bodies are fighting back. We're saying, I don't want this. They don't personally, I think my body is starting to not recognize wheat as wheat. It's saying, this is not good, and here you go. If you eat this stuff, this is what's going to happen. You just look at the gluten intolerance that's on the rise, the dairy intolerance that's on the rise. People are having problems, with corn, wheat, dairy, all these soy, all these farm products that have been messed with chemical herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, genetic modification, antibiotics, growth hormones. All these things have to affect us one way or another. And I was a really healthy kid who grew up on white store-bought bread when I was a kid and never had an issue. Never had an issue until it started probably 20 years ago when my life started to, 20 years ago? No, it was earlier than that. It started probably 30 years ago. My issues with my joints started when I was 15. Bloating issues, mood swings, hormonal issues, all these things can be tied into our diet. So that's why I do one change at a time, folks. I got rid of tomatoes. I was eating tomatoes every day as my fruit. And I found out that was aggravating my fibromyalgia and my arthritis. So I'm down to only having like a pasta sauce or a tomato dish twice a month, no more. Twice a month, no more. So now we're working on wheat. I don't make these changes overnight, folks. If you watch my videos, you'll see that over time, I've made a lot of changes in our diet, and they're all health related. They're all health related. So this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half acre homestead saying, don't panic. I'm just trying stuff new, and I'm going to keep you posted as I go along as to the results. For now, being gluten-free has made a huge difference in my arthritis and my fibromyalgia. Oh, and if you've gotten this far, anybody who watches this channel and my Beverly Wolfie channel, I'm going to be starting reading the series, the Little House on the Prairie series. I'm not sure how we're going to handle Sundays, but I may just save up all the questions and comments and do a Sunday evening broadcast about answering all the questions about what we've discussed. And I'm stumbling over my words, so I'm going to say God bless. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.